everybody. This is Dr. Alex Avila with Invincible You, and we're back. I'm an author, psychologist, and speaker. Every week we talk about how to live with passion, purpose, and power, how to improve our finances, relationships, career, spirituality, health, and happiness in many ways. And today we have a very relevant guest today. It's going to be very interesting. This is Janae Adams, is an international speaker, author, and CEO who talks about financial literacy. At one time in her life, money ruled her life, and she became financially free. And now she teaches financial literacy to individuals, universities, corporations, and high schools throughout the country. She has spoken on behalf of the White House, Department of Education, for historically black colleges. She's been featured on Forbes, NBC, Good Morning America, USA Today. She's the author of The Money Attractor and Debt Sucks University. Welcome, Janae, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Now, you got a fascinating story. And you talk about that sucks. So, I mean, that's not good. Okay. And I think you said you were $50,000 in debt. And apparently you married your husband, but you didn't realize he had $25,000 in student loans. And then you bought a car with this $25,000. So now you're $50K in debt, and you lost your job.
Yep.
And then you said, my first child is born in debt. I don't want my second child to be born in debt. So tell us, how did this all happen, this university?
Yeah, so starting off, I did life right. I went to college for free on a tennis scholarship.
Oh, okay, great.
I graduated, and a lot of people believe, especially those who go on college scholarships, think that they are, debt-free, they're scot-free, but they're not thinking about those that they may end up marrying and what they have. And so that was my story. And he thought he went to school on a basketball scholarship, but actually, one year they had to pay out of pocket, which they can't do. He's a first-generation college student. Okay. At $5,000. And so that part we could not avoid. Yes. But the second part we could have, but I didn't understand money, was very impatient, and went out and said we need another car. Instead of getting the car that we had fixed, let's just go get a brand new one. And $25,000, and that's where the $50,000 of debt came from. And I tell people all the time, it was just numbers on paper until I lost my job. Mm-hmm. And when you lose your job, those numbers become real because you really have to pay these people back.
I see. And then you say you got out of debt in 2 years, and I'd like to hear later on how you did that. And you do have a lot of practical tips. I saw your website. You wrote 2 books. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is we hear about the money abundance mindset. People talk about the mind of prosperity and abundance and things like that. And you said that people have 2 things in common, money and dreams. Yeah. And sometimes the money gets in the way of the dreams, or people's fear of not having enough money to do what they really want to do. So I'm thinking you have this wealth mentality, there's an idea or success mentality that you can, have enough for your family and succeed and financially. 97% of self-made millionaires, Janae, believe that they could become that, millionaires at the time. So they actually have the self-belief. But the problem is that we have negative money mindsets, negative money stories. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and we have like maybe 10 to 20,000 thoughts a day. Yeah. And one of the thoughts, for example, is in Latin culture. I'm from the Latin culture. We say mucho trabajo, poco dinero, which means a lot of work, little money. Or, of course, money doesn't grow on trees. So how do you get beyond those negative money stories and get more of the positive mind?
Yeah, and definitely as people grow up, a lot of people learn those negative money stories from family members or parents and so forth. So you have to realize that you live in your own life. And that's where the dream sheet comes in within my book. It's just helping people understand what their short-term dreams are, intermediate dreams are, long-term dreams, and being able to write those down, because then you start to focus on that first, and then start realizing, okay, how do I financially get to this? And you realize that your passion for this dream is so much that you'll do anything. You'll sell anything. You'll pay off debt just to get to the dream. So that's why the dreams are so important. And like you said, it's the mind. And that's where the dreams come from.
Now, growing up in North Carolina, I know they're very loving Southern people, have a family orientation. Did you have any negative money mindsets from people around you, parents or others, or no?
Yeah, and it's never been my parents, but, it can be like outside friends of the family. They'll say, or die in debt, and
die in debt, that's a bad one.
Yeah, that's a bad one, and that's one I heard a lot. When I was growing up, but when I was out of college. And so a lot of people say, "No, I'm not gonna worry about that. I'll just die in debt," and that's the most negative one I've ever heard. And I'm like, you don't have to. I don't care how old you are. If you're breathing, you get out of debt.
Now, when they say that, are they saying, like, in other words, like, spend now, enjoy life, and then die? Or are they saying that no matter how hard I work, I'll be in debt?
It's really that they don't want to pay the debt off, so they're just like forget it.
Oh, okay, yeah, like whatever happens. Okay.
Yeah, they looks like a very big number that can't be handled, so they're
I
just
see.
get it. Yeah.
Especially college debt. A lot of people, these universities are very expensive now. I've noticed graduate schools, six figures, more than that. People own a lot of money, and it's a lifetime thing.
A lot of people, and it's a lot of times it's first generation student. I was a first gen, and if you don't, you want to go to your dream school, but if you haven't saved money for your dream school, how about we go to this state school that's going to cost less, and you're going to get.
There you go. Yeah, I wonder how much Harvard and Yale cost these days, or I'm sure it's a lot of money, right?
I think and most of the private schools now it's like $75,000 a year.
A year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. People around here are going, wow, that's like $300,000.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Now, in terms of the abundant mindset, that's a very powerful concept, and we learned that there are two elements to it. One is called optimism. Optimism is the belief that things are going to work out well for you. And they actually done studies that optimistic people have better luck. They win the lottery more often. They make great relationships, and because they're open to opportunities, right? They're always willing to look into something better. Pessimists are always kind of going back. They don't want to take any kind of even smart risks because they're afraid of losing out. And the other thing is gratitude. Gratitude is being grateful for what you have and abundance and all that. Do you have those elements in your life, either optimism or gratitude?
Definitely optimism. It's sometimes I think it might be delusional optimism.
A little bit unrealistic, yes, but
yeah, but it helps you get through. That if something bad happens financially, that it's not always going to be that way, and that I was going through it with those 2 years. I knew that one day I would see the other side. So that was my optimism, and then of course gratitude. I'm always thankful for what. Instead of like always seeing what else can I get, what do I have now that I can be grateful for? Because whenever you do that, more comes to you anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, the law of abundance, believing in an abundant universe where, things are created, right? There's more money, there's more love, more ideas, generated. Yeah. As opposed to scarcity. Some people believe in poverty. There's less money, less ideas, less love, and, people get scared and they get very tight-minded. And the other thing is, I wrote a book called Invincible You, basically transformation from positive psychology. And one of the things we see is what we call reversal. So I like to talk about give what you want most. So, for example, I work with, say, people who are shy or lonely. And I say, go to the room and find the loneliest or shy person and talk to them, make them feel good. Or if you have a lack of money, maybe give to a homeless person or, give to charity. And that kind of reverses the whole tightness idea. Have you ever seen that happen before in life?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's, like you said, with people who might have less than you and realizing that, it's always going to be somebody worse off than you. And that's where the gratitude comes in as well that you're speaking of. And being able to give more, you end up getting more from that, whether it's just more something materialistic or it can just be a great feeling that helps you get through your day the next time that you think about it.
Exactly. I even have what I call a reverse birthday. On my birthday, I give to other people.
Oh, cool.
Gifts, and I recommend that for some people to do that because it kind of opens up that you're grateful for your friends or people around you, and that's your birthday. So it's a whole different way of thinking. Now, another thing I like about what you talked about, there's something called law of focus. What you focus on, you may attract, and you call it dream to reality sheet, right? Where you write down, like I said, your 6 month, I think middle term and then long term goals. If money wasn't an object, what would you want to do?
Yeah,
I think you mentioned you want to go to European vacation. Have you guys done it yet?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, okay. Where did you go?
And I told people we didn't do it in that time frame because I did find a trip to Costa Rica for 7 days for $1,000 for 6 people.
There you
go.
We were there. So Costa Rica first, okay. Yeah. And then eventually Europe, I guess, is next.
Yeah, we did go to Europe. We went to Paris and London. I took my mother there because she had never been out the country before. Wow. So I took her and my 2 children to Paris and London.
They say it's the most romantic city in the world, Paris, they say.
Yeah. And we had a really good time, definitely.
That's awesome. And they said, I guess, long-term, 10 or 15 years would be college education for your kids and things like that.
Yeah.
So delay of gratification, that's something that's a powerful tool, and it's not always easier for people. But also, you mentioned even kids. Little kids can start to do this. And they did a study in Stanford. You may have heard of the classic study where they give a kid, say, either you get a treat now or you wait a little bit and you get 2 treats.
Yeah.
And the kids that waited 2 treats, when they were adults, they had higher SAT scores, more education, lower BMI. Less fat and weight, and basically overall happier lives.
Cool. Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
I remember hearing about the study, but I didn't hear about when they became adults. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a long-term study. So imagine that, but for a lot of people, that's not easy, right? To say, you say write things down, that you want to buy and things like that, and saving and all that. So that's probably hard for some people to do that.
It definitely is, and that's what the Dream Sheet helps people to get focused. When you don't have anything to look forward to, then the first financial emergency you run into, you'll end up quitting, and you'll go back to that same mindset. I'll just die with debt. And so I'm trying to keep people out of that kind of mindset.
That makes a lot of sense. We have a sister podcast, Love University, that talk about loving yourself, others, and a higher nature. Mm-hmm. And I think of money also as kind of a loving energy, because if you do something you love for work, you get this thing called money in return, and then you buy goods and services in appreciation for the money that you give to them. So it's kind of a flow, right? You can let it flow throughout the world. And you mentioned something like if you need some money, like find a passion that you really like, and maybe make money from it, like a pastime. And it had something I think called Sweet Vision. You mentioned some businesses in your book that are like people that love to bake, and all they start doing these different desserts. And were they making money out of it eventually?
Yeah. And you always start with something that you'll do for free and see how you can get paid for it, especially if you're trying to pay off debt or, start a business or build wealth. And that's what I tell people. And that's what I ended up doing when I'm speaking now. It's something I love to do. I love helping people get financially free, and speaking just became that career out of that.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen like Shark Tank. Have you seen the show where people come on with these hobbies and interests? Yes. Dolls and and cookies and all this stuff. Some of them actually make a lot of money.
They do.
Was that one guy? He something about the Scrub Daddy. You ever seen that guy? Yeah, it's like a funny little towel or no, it was a sponge. Right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So stuff like that is kind of cool. And think of like money kind of as your friend. Like if you have a great home that's hospitable, you give good food to people and you're a good company, friends will come to visit you. But what if you're kind of mean-spirited and you have lousy food? No one's going to come, right?
Exactly.
So then you have to chase them. You got to call them up, and they don't want to come. So I think if you offer value to people and maybe do a little more work than you paid for, then that's going to create money to come back, right? As a friend. Do you see that in your life too?
Yes, definitely. You always want to overgive. You want to always over-deliver, especially if you're somebody who's trying to be an entrepreneur. You want to always over-deliver because that brings repeat customers and repeat clients. So I definitely know that works.
Right. And sometimes it's good to even overpay slightly a merchant or a salesperson because, you're creating a bond of connection.
Yes.
And maybe they'll give you a good deal the next time. Some people try to get the best deal. They're really very tough.
Yeah.
Have you seen that, in terms of that?
Yeah, definitely. And you always want, if you're getting a good product from a great business or a great person, you always want to give more. Right. And I always believe in that. I'm always like, okay, no, I want to give you a tip because thank you for the hard work that you're doing, especially those who are solopreneurs. They're working for themselves.
That's very nice. Yeah. So it's definitely, I can see the loving energy coming from you. So you really want to help people. That's a positive. The other thing I found interesting in your stuff, you talked about making small money mind shifts. In other words, don't ignore the cost of your life and open your bills. Yeah. I thought of this. I guess there are people that don't open their bills, right? They're scared of it. They don't want to. What's the deal with that? Like your electric bill. Oh my God! Especially we're in California, so it's really high.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people do that, especially the higher bills. So your student loans and the credit card bills. You know what the minimum payment is, but you don't know total amount of money that you owe, and you have to know that in order to be able to tackle it.
Right. And also the idea that, these little shifts, like maybe spend, maybe 20 minutes a day looking at your finances or 30 minutes, whatever it is, can get you kind of more into the financial mindset, right? So you're not just ignoring it. Like you said, some people, put their head in the sand, right? They don't want to see what's going on. They're afraid. They're afraid of it. But also, there's also the idea of you heard of the money affirmations or even mantra. It's kind of like you repeat this to yourself, a phrase. Tony Robbins, the guy that's a big speaker, he's worth about $500 million. He says every morning he wakes up, he says, God's wealth is circulating in my life. It flows to me like avalanches of abundance. So I think that's kind of cool. Do you have a money abundance phrase you say to yourself? Not I'm going to die broke. You don't want that one.
No, and I have one that I write in my book every day, and it's I accept prosperity as my divine right.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. Okay. So, because there can be a great showers of blessing, right, coming to people that are giving and loving to others.
Yes.
And also, like you said, believing that you deserve it.
Yes.
Because there are people that win the lottery, and with a year time, they spend all the money. Because they don't feel they deserve it, and they're millionaires that lose all the money and then they make it back because they believe in their mind that they deserve, to have success and finances. So, but there are different kinds of people. Let's say there are people that are maybe very spiritual in a certain way. It said money is the root of all evil. I want to avoid it. And there are the people that pursue it like almost like a god. So what do you say about to either side of those, either extreme?
Yeah, and I always went with that scripture with the root of all evil. I always tell people that that's a misunderstanding. If that's what if you're using it as an idol, money as an idol, then yes, it's going to destroy you. But if you're looking at it, it's just a tool, it's just paper, and you're just using it to reach your dreams and to give and to help other people.
That's very important.
It's a blessing, and it's just something that you're using as a vessel.
So it could be an instrument of love in a sense. If you do it the right
definitely.
way.
You can be a vessel, just like Tony Robinson says. Be a vessel of God's will to help other people.
I like that. Now, Janae, I wrote a book, Love Types. It's a bestseller on Myers-Briggs love compatibility. How people can find, I don't know if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality types.
Yes.
And there are actually 4 groups. I want to ask you, let's say you have a client that has a certain personality and you were going to advise them. For example, the security seekers, I know you talk about saving and investing. So that they love that. They love to put it, they're actually good at that stuff. Because they like security. But then we have the meaning seekers that are not that interested in money. They're more spiritual, philosophical. They want to have a mission or a crusade in life. How would you advise them on money?
Well, just helping them understand that goal. Their goal is to help people. Their goal is to be able, let's say they want to be able to build a school in another country. It takes money to do that. And just helping them like that gets you to your goal. So being able to save money, be able to get out of debt, you're taking all the money that you were paying towards debt to now go towards building that school and helping children in another country.
Right. So tap into their crusade or mission, right? Their philosophical, philanthropic idea.
Yes.
Then we have another group called the intuitive thinkers, NTs, also known as knowledge seekers. And they're kind of like the brainy technological people. They're kind of not really that interested in money per se, but they can be tight with money though. They don't like to spend it, but they don't really want to do anything with it. But they want to be with their gadgets and things like that, So how would you advise those knowledge seekers? They're all day reading books and all that.
And you're tapping into that as well. The same thing. So those with knowledge seekers, maybe they want to go to a certain conference somewhere that is across the world.
Yeah, like a Star Trek convention in China or something.
Yeah, exactly. Then that once again, that takes money. Maybe they want to always be able to read 5 books a month. That takes money. So you're always tapping into people's desires and needs.
All right. And then we have the, these are maybe a challenge for you. These are the excitement seekers.
Yes.
They say, why spend it when I can die tomorrow? And they want to enjoy, go to Vegas. They want to travel, enjoy life. And they're that kind of social party type. What do you say to those folks?
And for them, you have to go into a deeper meaning, because right now they're in the mindset of thinking about themselves all the time. So you have to say, what's also important to you? Is it a mother? Is it a grandmother? Is it, children? And what can you do to help their lives be better? That should be exciting as well.
Okay,
and then, of course, and then you also can talk to them about, yes, you love to do this and do that. Let's put a fund aside.
Okay.
And put money over here, and then you can do whatever you want with that while also investing for your future, in case you live another 50 years.
There you go. And then you still want to have fun when you're older too, right? So not just right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you can tell them too.
I like that. So you're kind of combining the 2 different sides of their personalities, right? Instant gratification and delayed gratification.
Yes, definitely.
Most people have both. Now, you mentioned the 2008 recession was hard for you, and a lot of people, things were tough. And you don't want people to fall into that pattern today, if something happens in the next year or 2, right, with the economy.
Yeah. And
you're saying how to be kind of recession proof is kind of what you want to teach people economically. So you talk about having a 2-week expense tracking program where I guess the 1st and 15th, right, you keep track of your expenses and you see how that affects you. And also having like a spending plan where you put aside X amount, right, for certain things. Now, you don't call it budget. I guess people don't like the word budget.
No, they don't. They immediately just shut down.
They feel deprived, right, if there's a budget. Yeah. No ice cream for me, no pistachio nuts for this whole week.
No life at all.
And also you say something has to go kind of idea, like you have to maybe eliminate things. You talk about pick a no spending day. I did that shit in college. That's kind of a good idea. Like you don't spend that one day, right? $0. Yeah. That's kind of cool. Buying out of season clothes, selling on eBay, and also coupons, ways to save money.
Yeah.
But here's the challenge though, is that in prehistoric times, when people got food, they didn't have refrigerators, so they would just consume it.
Yeah.
So it's almost, people think we have a genetic evolutionary programming to just, consume, right? When we have it, we use it, we consume it. Yeah. So saving may not be instinctual, some people think. So what do you think about that? How do you get people to do that?
Yeah, and a lot of times, it can be hard if people don't have their backs against the wall. they have enough money that's paying everything, and it's hard for those people. But for those that feel the financial stress, which many Americans do, once you tap into that, they say, I can, not spend for one day here. I could, maybe get the Sling instead of having full on cable and only pay $20 to watch my favorite shows for a few months and save that money. It's just being able to give them inches instead of like taking a whole mile from them.
Interesting. But I think there were one or two stories in biblical stories where someone had a dream about a famine.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like put away X amount of grain or something, for the good times.
Yeah.
And then with that kind of stuff, you have that left over.
Exactly.
Was it 1/5 or 2/5? Do you remember that story?
I don't remember the amount, but I definitely remember the story to put it away in good time. So if a famine comes,
and the famine did come, and then everyone else was starving and skeletons, and these people were surviving, right? So they were able to do okay. So I guess that's an interesting way to think about it, that people can get into that mindset.
Yeah, definitely, because we're always going to have recessions. And so you have to be able, like during these good times.
Yes, good times.
So we haven't had anything real since 2008. So a lot of people are saying that maybe we're due for one soon. So this, and I've been telling people like the last couple of months, they need to be building up their treasure chest right now. And that's what that's for.
Yeah, so I think you call it an emergency fund or breathing safety fund or something.
Yeah, in case you're fund. Yeah.
You're still breathing, so you're alive, right? So you might as well put away.
Yeah, exactly.
You said at least for $500 up to 3 years. I mean, a whole year's salary, right?
Yes,
a whole year's expenses, right?
Exactly. If you're debt free, to have a year's worth of expenses, because it's very hard to find a job when you're desperate, and when people don't have money in the bank, they take any kind of job they can get.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. So, Auntie Janae, I'm going to go to college tennis scholarship. Can you co-sign for me on my loan, my student loan?
Absolutely not.
Auntie Janae, you're my favorite auntie. I've been coming to your house for many years, and look at me. I got a forehand and a backhand. I'm going to be the D. Williams people. You don't want to help me?
And I absolutely not. Now, if I have it to give to you, I will give.
Okay.
But we will not be signing a debt in my name.
Okay, I'll give you 10% on my salary when I'm big time.
Well, you better go find an agent. I'm not.
Okay. So you saying no, which sounds like it's pretty hard to maybe family members that either want you to co-sign or borrow money. That's kind of hard, isn't it, for some people? I mean, what if it's your daughter or what do you do if it's your daughter? Do you have kids?
I have 2 kids. Yeah, I have a 9-year-old and I have a 14-year-old.
What if they want something special, a business or something that they really need money for? What do you tell them?
I tell them their mother paid off $50,000 of debt in 2 years. So it's in their genes to go find the money. Okay. And I'll show them, if they want to start a business, how to get business grants, how to go, just giving them the tools to go be able to do it themselves. And if I have it to give, once again, $5,000.
Okay. So are there any exceptions to that where you would maybe say yes? Any exceptions at all if it's, like medical emergency or stuff like that, or?
And that's what the whole, in case you're breathing fund is for. And that's, when those emergency comes up, that's what I'll do. But I have not borrowed money since 2007.
So you haven't borrowed money?
No, I have any car I have, I bought cash.
And you haven't lent money to anybody?
No, I don't lend money to anybody.
Okay.
Because it changes relationships.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so they may be resentful, or you may be resentful if they don't pay it, or whatever.
Exactly.
Right? So
and if I see them out and about, getting their hair done on a trip before they pay me my money, then it's a problem. So we don't even want to get to that. Yeah.
The other thing is hard to say no to for a lot of people is credit cards.
Yeah.
You mentioned you got a credit card. What did you buy on a credit card one time? They gave you 20% off or something, or?
Yes, and that's one of the things. That's when I didn't know about money at all, and I was still in college. And you're at the Gap, and they're saying you can get 20% off there if you sign up for this card. And once I signed it and realized, and I tried to pay for it still, and she said, "Oh no, the bill comes later." And that's what I knew. I had signed up for a credit card, and I had messed up, and it was a really bad deal for me.
I can see that.
It taught me a lesson. It taught me.
But on the other hand, some people say it's good to build your credit. So are there times when you should do credit? What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, and I'm a lot different than a lot of people around finances. I don't have a credit card. I haven't had one since, I think 2006. And so whenever I speak to college students and high school students, I'm trying to put them on a different path where they own bank and they don't rely on credit cards. Okay. They have their own emergency fund. Right. They have their money and so forth, because I show them how to buy a car without a credit score. I show them how house without one,
Wow.
and so forth. So I'm trying to teach younger people who have not gotten into the world yet how to live with
How
their
do you
money.
buy a house without a credit? I think you had to have credit for a house. How do you do
Yeah,
that?
so being able not to have to depend on it. So of course they have to have a 2 years of a steady job that they can point out to, a 20% down payment, and dealing with a mortgage broker is going to be the best chance.
Okay.
When you come with money, things come a lot easier with mortgages.
Good point. Good point. Now, speaking of investment advice, you do have a lot of advice. What do you think today? I mean, people talk about stocks, crypto, gold and silver, real estate. They even mentioned even buying cash if you can do it. So for real estate. So what's the best investment? Give us a 2022 prognostication. Where should we put our money this year?
So I'm not a financial advisor. I'll put that out there.
Okay.
But definitely understanding, retirement, so mutual funds and so forth. I don't do individual stocks. Because I know that if I put my money here in Apple and $1,000 and then Tim Cook loses mine and then my $1,000 is gone. But with mutual funds, that's where I go. I don't deal with Bitcoin or crypto or Forex because it's just right now too volatile. And if I don't understand something, I don't put my money in it. So that's why I tell people, go into mutual funds, something safe that you can put it there and leave it alone.
I see what you're saying. Now, here's an interesting idea, and this might tap into Love University. We talk about relationships, but how about love and money?
Yeah.
Now, you married a guy. I guess he didn't tell you that he had $25,000 in debt. Now, first of all, were you mad? And if you would have known, would you have married him?
Yeah, and I still would have married.
Still married, okay. But were you mad though?
Yeah, and he didn't know because parents tell you just to sign here, sign there.
So he didn't know either.
No, he didn't. He thought he went on.
Okay, so he was it. But what if he did know, for example?
If he did know, then we probably would. I don't know, like why you didn't tell me.
You'd be a little mad.
Yeah, we had been together since high school, so I don't think he would have, did that. It wasn't somebody that I had just met 2 years ago.
Right. But sometimes people are scared to release information. That.
And I always tell people who are engaged or trying to keep from being engaged because this person has all this debt.
Right.
I said you're working together, and 2 incomes is a lot better than one. Right. And when you do that, you all can pay it off fast and just go on about your life and build wealth together. It should never be. Debt should never keep you from being married. Debt should never keep you from having a child. And so I always tell people that. Yeah. Right.
But they say that aside from, let's say, sex and children, money is one of the biggest conflictual areas. It may even cause divorce.
It will.
Because sometimes they fight a lot. And then you might have one who's like a spendthrift, right? They love to spend. The other person loves to save. Yeah. And they fight. I don't know if you ever see that among people you talk to, couples like that. You see that? You see it all the time. So what's your advice to the two-sided monster show?
Yeah. And so to help the person who is trying to get the spender under control, that's where the dream sheet comes in. And nobody knows a spouse better than their spouse. And I said, that person wants to go to the Panthers game and sit at the 50-yard line down by the field. Yes. So put that as one of your dreams from a year from now for next season, and you'll see them start to stop spending because they want to get that ticket.
Yes, okay. So they can visualize, right? Something that they want.
So it's happening to their desires, just like anybody else.
That makes a lot of sense. And they also mentioned creating generational wealth.
Yes.
And the idea that passing along to your children. Now, my son actually played basketball high school, and actually a very good team. They won some championships. And one of the players went to the NBA, Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't know if you've heard about him. He plays for Washington.
I have heard.
He just signed a $60 million deal.
Wow.
And they call it generational money.
Yes.
But if you're not a superstar athlete, how do the regular folks become generational money? What's the idea for that?
And just understanding that you have to start investing early for them. So whether that is a college fund, whether that is, just making sure that your will is in place and you have the money that you're saving on your behalf and money down. So if anybody understands, we know college is expensive. So let's take that part out of, that problem out by starting a 529 or Roth IRA for them for college. And then if they get scholarships, then you can use that money to help them buy a house. Okay. And so just being able to take that debt out, that future debt out of their lives, that's what helps with generational wealth.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, Reggie, my producer, can you come over here? I want to introduce you to a young man that you can maybe give a little advice to.
Okay.
This is Reggie. Reggie, say hi to Janae.
Hi, Janae. Nice to meet you.
Reggie is a young man. I think he just turned 30. Am I correct?
Right.
Even though he looks about 20 or something.
Yeah.
Single man. and he wants to basically succeed, at this age. What are you, as a Gen, what are you now? A millennial?
I'm a millennial, yeah.
Okay, so what do you say advice to the millennials like Reggie to be successful financially? Well, first of all, tell her, what's your goals? What do you want to do?
Well, I want to keep working podcasting like I'm producing for Dr. Avila right now. Also, someday I want to get back behind the mic, but yeah, I'm open to whatever the future has for me.
Okay, awesome. And so what I would tell you is definitely being able to write down, like using the dream sheet, write down what your goals are, because what you're talking about, it will take money. So like you said, you want to get back in front of the mic. We know podcasting takes money. So being able to go ahead and start that fund now, and able to be able to, once it's time to do that, it's off and going. And it even takes money to be able to get advertisers in there, because you might have to go to conferences and promote your podcast, and that takes money. So being able to get that, basically a podcast fund going.
I like that. So Reggie podcast fund. That's good.
Yeah. I like that.
Any other advice for him? No. Like, what do you spend on? Do you spend it on McDonald's, or what do you spend money on?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
he loves to eat. So
yeah,
I know eating out is a big expense. What do you suggest to
and that's a big expense for everybody. So we all have busy lives, so it's very easy for us to just go out and get something. But I always tell people, if after you do the 2-week expense tracking, if eating out is one of your big goals, then say to yourself, okay, I eat out 4 times a week. Can I put that down to 2? And then save that money and put it towards what you want it to go towards. And that's how you end up saving money and just being able to cut back just a little bit.
So, Reggie, can you do the 2-week burrito 2 times a week?
I'll give it a shot.
It's going to be hard.
It's always what number you want to do, because sometimes it may be 7 and you say, can I go down to 4?
Okay, so cut it down a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, it's just knowing what that number is, saying, can I just bring it down a little bit just for a few weeks?
Now, his dream, is to find the right lady. He's a little shy, to get married. So what do you recommend in terms of financials for that part?
Yeah, and just being able to understand, like, once you find that person and being on the same page financially, those are talks to have, because you don't want to have that talk after you've already got married.
If she's spending all her money, you don't like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, because then there'll be arguments about money, and like he said, that is the number one cause of divorce is financial issues.
I like that. Okay, Reggie. So far so good, right? So get a Reggie podcast fund. Come back in the burritos and find a girl that wants to spend like you. All right, good job, Reggie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janae.
All right, thank you.
That's great. So that's a very quick fix. I think Reggie's going to do well now. We'll have to do a progress report on this.
Yeah.
And that's very important. I mean, if you start younger, I guess it's a good idea, to save, learn the right habits. A lot of this is about discipline.
Yes.
Mental discipline, right? To be able to do that. Let me ask you now, Janae, recently Superman came out. They have a lot of these movies. Is there any kind of action hero that you would want to be like, or that you think about?
Well, I'm a very big Marvel fan, DC fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm into those kind of things. My favorite, I would say, is Wolverine. I like Wolverine.
Wow, he's a sexy guy, right? I guess, right? What do you like? What do you like about him? Like, is he, something special about him?
I mean, you can't kill him.
Okay, you can't kill him. Okay, he gets crazy. He's a wolf. Okay.
He's pretty much like the strongest superhero out there that I can think of.
Okay. Can I say Janae is the same way? What doesn't kill me makes me stronger? Are you that kind of person?
Exactly. He went through a lot. So I went through a lot of things and being able to come out strong on the other side. Yeah.
I see. I know you mentioned the financial. Is there anything else you've overcome in life that's made you stronger as far as you can tell? Any challenges?
And it was early in life. My father passed away when I was 17. So that was one of the things that kind of set me off on being more independent and wanting to take care of my mom and so forth. Before I went to college, that made me even more determined to do good in college.
I see. Now you have a big basketball husband. How tall is your husband?
Oh, he's a point guard, so he's 5'11".
Okay. Well, still, at least he's fast and he's probably got good habits, right? Okay. Yeah. That's great. Well, you're a delightful guest on the show, Janae. I really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about where we can find your work. Do you have a website? What do you offer? What can you offer the listeners?
And I think everybody can find anything they need at my website, and that's debtsucksuniversity.com. So just like the name I put, debtsucksuniversity.com, you can find.
Yes. Okay. So what do you offer? Now, you do coaching individually? Do you have books, any kind of programs, tapes?
Yeah. So I speak around the country for corporations, for financial wellness programs, as well as colleges for their financial literacy. And then when you go to the website, you'll see links to my books as well as my online courses.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, you're very soft-spoken, but you got a lot of going on inside there. And also, I can see you got a caring heart. So Janae Adams, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. If anyone wants to reach us, they can call us at 310-226-8090. Email us at invincibleyounow@gmail.com. And, of course, visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and the others. So, Janae, until next time, we'd love to have you back on again. I know you have a lot of books you got in your head probably, right? You want to write? And talk more about 2022. I mean, I believe it's going to be a good year for a lot of people. We can overcome these challenges, right, and the virus and everything else, and start to put ourselves in a very positive mindset. And that's the key, right? Love and extending loving energy and money is a flow that comes back, and that's a wonderful thing. So until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila with Invincible You, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Janae.
Thank you.
And that was a great show with Janae Adams, a financial literacy expert. You can see that she really has a warm heart, a lot of good, valuable knowledge, very down-to-earth information about finances. And basically, I like the idea of putting away, creating a fund for what you want, a fund. Putting away money for either travel or, in Reggie's case, having his own podcast, for your children's education, also to give, maybe humanitarian ventures, charitable ventures. Or for your dream, you want to invent something, create something, a business, writing a book. Say, I'm going to put aside X amount of money, I'm going to write a book for 1 year, maybe go to a resort island and just write or invent or create or something. So I think that's beautiful. And the fundamental aspect is that love is the fundamental source for many of these things. Love is part of money energy, loving money energy. So this year, this week, now that we're getting close to the end of the year, and by the time this airs will probably be the beginning of the year, is to have that dream in your mind. What do you want to do in life? If money is not an object, what would you want to do? And then focus on that and give to others. And you can be stronger, wealthier, and more successful in every way. So until next time, this is Dr. Alex Avila. If you want to reach us at Invincible You, you can email us at invincibleyounow@gmail.com. Call us at 310-226-8090. Like and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Invincible You Official. You can also follow us on Twitter at @InvincibleU_. You can subscribe to us on Podbean, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes. So until next time, go out and have a wealthy, successful, and emotionally beautiful week. This is Dr. Alex Avila for the new year 2022, Invincible You.